Jiamini kabla watu wa kuamini. And so at the tender age of 2 years, I could tell the difference between a real bullet and a rubber bullet. And mark you, none of my family is in the army. Situation has recruited us by force. We know no authority. Shoot to kill is the hit song in the ghetto. So when come to sing along. We come utembee kwetu ghetto. Come utembee kwa imta ya masta awe come utembee kwetu ghetto. Come utembee kwa imta ya masta.
Why are we still fighting for freedom in our own country? Why are we still fighting for equality in our own country? Why are we still fighting for justice?
Hi, my amazing souls. It's your blissful soul, Katrina WW4 Wazika. Welcoming you back to this YouTube channel for another exciting, interesting video. Look at this girl. Happiness, joy. It's my thing, and I'm a good influence. You see that? Now, what is this video about? We are at Daystar University, a place I didn't like actually. They were asking me to remove my nose ring. That it's the rules here. You can't enter here with a mini skirt, you can't enter or dress, or you can't come in with your nose ring, or you can't enter with a topless see Peter, or a topless sleeveless top. Oh my god, I'm sleepy. Sorry, it's been a busy, hectic week. That's Bunny's there. So they were asking someone who was in a short dress or skirt and me for having a nose ring to remove that. You can't enter there. And we had a back and forth for like 5 minutes. I'm like, I'm not a student here. I'm not coming to join the school. We are just here for this festival. It will soon be over and I'm back home. So that's it. This is why we are here by Forum Civ. We'll be looking at how different groups in the society are navigating the consequences of economic shocks on human rights, focusing on freedom, equality, and justice for all. So come with me, let's join the conversation. CDPOC brought us here as persons with disability to also discuss the same topic. Human rights cannot be fully human rights without the participation of persons with disability, without our rights being checked. Learn with me.
So this one particular piece, and I just want to celebrate all the women and especially our mothers, because without them, what this means is our moms gave us life and we must appreciate and sing to them. Sawa, let's do this. Mama nangi mimi ya nyakaweri. 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 Chon kadongo toneni mia leo ni chon kadongo toneni mia chiemo chon kadongo toneni mia tuno. Twende chon kadongo toneni mia leo ni chon kadongo toneni mia tuno chon kadongo toneni mia chiemo. Tunge kato die chieng achiel mi paro weya. Tunge
kato die chieng achiel miparo weya. Tuonge kato die chieng achiel miparo weya. Tuonge kato die chieng achiel miparo weya. Mama nangi mimia nyaka weri. 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 Maneno timona, maneno timoni. Maneno timona, maneno timoni.
The theme for this year is freedom, equality, and justice for all. Sawa sawa. Tutakuwa na some conversations on special interest groups. Sasa tutakuwa na villages tofauti. There'll be a youth village. Wapi wa youth? Wana youth ambao wako hapa? There'll be a person with disabilities village. Wapi watu wa wapi women village? Tutakuwa na women pia, women village. Alafu tutakuwa na community village, na hizo zote zitafanyika 6th floor, and we'll be guiding you on where that will be happening. But
today is my day. Today is my day. Oh, today is my day. Oh, na 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 na. Today is my last day to smoke. I have been a heavy smoker. I've smoked the imported, exported one. Oh, please.
This opportunity to welcome each and every one of us to this festival, and we're looking forward for very fruitful discussion at the end of this day, and good deliberations and good takeaways regarding on how we can contribute to the theme 75 years anniversary since the Declaration of Universal Human Rights, and ensuring that we have the freedom, equality, and justice for all. I have a question for you, and I don't want you to answer me. 75 years after the declarations of universal human rights. Human rights for everyone who is a human being on this earth. Why are we still fighting for freedom in our own country? Why are we still fighting for equality in our own country? Why are we still fighting for justice? These are really hard conversations to have, that even when we say we have the freedom, we have the independence in this country, we still continue fighting. It is urgent for us. People are in want, in need, in trouble, and even our world, the whole earth, is also suffering. And that's why we don't talk about global warming any longer. We talk about global boiling, because the globe has boiled. If you remember in July, during the summer period, people in Italy died because of the heat wave. What have we contributed to this? How can we ensure with our efforts and putting our leaders accountable to ensure that equality of all resource distribution is ensured? Countries in the region, including Kenya, are experiencing poverty levels that have never been seen for generations. Global food crisis of unimaginable proportions. Climate change has worsened the situation. Furthermore, in Kenya, statistics as of 2021 indicates that 30.5% of the Kenyan population are experiencing food poverty, and this percentage could even be more higher in 2023. That was 30% of the population. We are about 7 million according to projections. You can imagine 30% of that population is a huge proportion. And I know now things are more worse because of crisis brought by floods. Before the flooding, there was drought across the country and across the region, and therefore food distribution or food production is more depressed. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to learn from repeated experiences, and this learning would also be to the duty bearers about the economic stagnation and the recession. Once the economy stagnates, injustices are meted against poor Kenyans. People's rising fear for the future of their families, that the resources which should be considered common good need to be invested for the common good. And in the morning, we had a conversation with the Citizen TV. We are asking the government to invest in common good things. These are socio-economic rights, right to education, right to health, all the basic rights we talk about, right to basic infrastructures. And even nowadays, access to internet is becoming a right. It never used to be a right years before, but this is common for everyone for the purpose of connectivity. We need to give the highest priority, this is to government, to implementing green economy that can meet the challenges posed by the climate change and uphold everyone's right to clean health, sustainable environment. In 2022, June, July, the United Nations General Assembly passed a resolution that access to clean environment is a fundamental basic human right. So it is not a request to the government that please give us the rights. Tunawaomba tafadhali, Watanzania wenzangu kina Maembe, wao wanaomba serikali. Sisi hatuombi serikali. Hatuwezi omba serikali. Hatuwezi sema tafadhali, si ndio? We demand that the government comes and provides avenues of investing in green transition so that we have a healthy, sustainable future.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, are you excited to be here? Yes. Very well. Please clap for yourself for coming all the way from Nakuru, Kajiado, and Nairobi County. So my name is Dr. Anastasia Nyalita. I'm the County Waziri for Inclusivity, Public Participation, and Customer Service. And therein lies 3 subsectors. The first one, which I'm very delighted to be, to have been invited to come and speak to you, is public participation, citizen engagement, customer service. Very important for what we are, it's very much aligned with the theme of a festival. We have a festival as well. I'll be telling you about that in a short while. Then I have gender and inclusivity. Really, I'm very delighted to see that you have been inclusive in your engagements. Yeah, it's not every time that people are very sensitive to ensure that nobody is left behind. So for that, I congratulate the organizers and of course the sponsors of this event. This crucial annual Democracy and Human Rights Festival, a gathering that marks our commitments to the principles that underpin the very essence of our existence: dignity, freedom, and justice for all. As the County Executive Committee member for Inclusivity, Public Participation, and Customer Service, and in particular, public participation and citizen engagement in Nairobi City County Government, I'm honored to stand before you as we unite in the spirit of advocacy and reflection on this Human Rights Day. This year's theme, dignity, freedom, and justice for all, resonates deeply with the core values we hold dear. It is a call to action, a reminder of the collective responsibility we bear to ensure that every individual in our society is treated with the respect and fairness they deserve. As we stand on the cusp of change, we must reflect on the economic shocks that have reverberated through our nation. In navigating the consequences of economic shocks, we must confront the harsh realities faced by our fellow citizens. The increased cost of living, rising unemployment rates, and economic instability have created ripple effects that touch the very core of human rights. Basic necessities such as access to education, healthcare, and adequate housing are at risk for many of our communities. As we unpack the theme of dignity, freedom, and justice for all against this backdrop, we cannot ignore the disproportionate impact of vulnerable populations. It is our duty to recognize that economic challenges can exacerbate existing inequalities, threatening the right to decent standard of living. Therefore, our commitment to human rights must include a dedicated effort to address these economic disparities, ensure that no one is left behind, and that the principles of dignity and justice are upheld, even in the face of economic adversity. In times of adversity, the true strength of a society lies in its ability to respond with empathy, accountability, and resolute commitment to fairness. It is disheartening to witness the challenges our people face due to economic hardships, and it is our duty as public servants to address these issues head-on. Accountability from public institutions is not just an expectation. It is a fundamental right of the people. And as the CEC for Inclusivity, Public Participation, and Customer Service, I pledge to champion transparency, inclusivity, and citizen engagement within our county government, and can also confirm that we have the full support and commitment from His Excellency the Governor as well.
relationship. Nina spread. Nina spread. Nina spread. Nina spread. Nina spread. Kasika na Richie Beats, yeah. Hundo ule mwaka, this is that year. Hakuna limitations, mwaka wa kuvuka boda, year of breaking boundaries, mwaka wa kuspread popote kokote vyovyote na Yesu. This is that year. This is that year. Nina spread. Nina spread. Nina spread. Nina spread. Hundo ule mwaka, daily na testify. Hundo ule mwaka, divine protection's mine. Finances zanifuata, celebrations mine. This is that year. This is that year. Nina spread. Nina spread. Nina spread. Nina spread. This is that year. Nina Holy Ghost. So I'm waxing great. Huwezi kunistop. If you believe in God, imba his song of faith. Sema.
So son, daughter, work hard, cause wewe ndio tegemeo. So hard, uchange my name. Uchange my new name cause wananiita loser. Na si tu nilifail shule, ni tu nililose test ya life after kuwitness jina kubwa ikidhulumu jina inajijenga in the name of keeping law and order. Maybe kwa menu ya judiciary hiyo ndio kitu tulioda. Ikakam na box. Mapro wakaachwa wajitawale, maskini akaingizwa box. Boxing ndio language wanajua. Cause after youth soldier ameuliza, kibari ndio ilimtuliza. Machozi ikimtiririka, afande unaniumiza. But kwao, hiyo ni kaa gunia kutuliza. Nini ulidu after witness? Ungedu. I had to shut so niite waudu. Wangapi wamebonga na tuwaoni huku? Okay, tumewaona. After kupatikana 6 feet under, after kupatikana wakiwa wametupwa kwa forest na justice walipata ni kupostiwa kwa social media. So my dear, hiyo time ungeniuliza WhatsApp, ningekushow that was their last scene. And since then, talk of police brutality, high economy, imekuwa ni a common wrong. A common song with no common sense. So what if we take uncommon action? Tukilidiwa na hii saying, wrong ni wrong hata kama inafanywa na my right man. I was born and raised up in ghetto. I spent my childhood years in abject poverty. Bullet for breakfast, lunch unpredictable, maybe supper, take water. What a life. My mama used to hustle every day for my better tomorrow. And she used to say, son, smile today, because tomorrow might be holding sorrows. Tukolabo leo, cause kesho kuna mtu anaweza baki solo, so hata ukuwe na shida nyingi hata usiwahi bend solo. Jiamini kabla watu wa kuamini, and so at the tender age of 2 years I could tell the difference between a real bullet and a rubber bullet, and mark you, none of my family is in the army. Situation has recruited us by force. We know no authority. Shoot to kill is the hit song in the ghetto, so mgeni come to sing along. We come utembee kwetu ghetto, come utembee kwa imta ya mastaa awe come utembee kwetu ghetto, come utembee kwa imta ya mastaa. Ukiwa youth na uko ghetto, wanakuita criminal, wanasema kill them all. We are subjected into degrees of intimidations and violence. We are not independent in our own country. We are like refugees. Jesus don't wapi sisemi kono inasmeritat. Kila mtaro ina flow blood. Kete iko picted na huzuni ati naogopa. Naogopa sisi tunaishi maisha ya saa hii. Anytime unaweza sikia wai. And there is no more wamemuwai. But welcome. Kama utembee kwetu ghetto, kama utembee kwa imta ya mastaa aweka. Kama utembee kwetu ghetto, kama utembee kwa imta ya mastaa. Hii mtaa pia inaishi Kenyan citizens. Uliza Mtuva atakwambia mambo huku ni mseto. Karibu ghetto na kupromise ukikam utatamani kuseto. Pole kaushaika Mungu akakuhanda boss. Ni vile Rose Mwando aishi huku, so kungekuwa na mtu wa kukubembeleza. Kuna wenye wanaongoja tuombe ndio watupe. Na wakitupea, hatupei kwa mkono, labda watupe. So in case nimesahau kuomba, jua God sijaisahau kumuomba. Si wengine wanabondanga mali, ghetto si ubonda sura, na bado baby anakuambia you are handsome. Napenda hiyo sura, so sura za wageto zikiogopesha kiudani trejo. Jueni heart zetu ni safi kaza angels, and when you look down on us there'll be nothing to smile about. We come utembee kwetu ghetto, come utembee kwa imta ya mastaa aweka. Come utembee kwetu ghetto, come utembee kwa imta ya mastaa. Karibu kwa imta yenye hewa sisi breathe yote ni insult. Mtaa yenye watu wanaishi ghetto, watu hawaishi ghetto wanajua mengi kuhusu ghetto hadi kuliko sisi wenyeji. Atimati wa mghetto ikikuwa red, haiwezi kuwa alikuwa anavuta mkokoteni vumbi kaingia. Wanasema ngali vuta bangi, sanani atamsaidia. Ati mghetto akikuwa na tablet, wanasema kuna mtu wa estate akohosia kimeza tablets, ndio vile zilikama. Ati mghetto akikuwa na pesa, wanasema kuna mtu wa M-Pesa ametesa, ati amebeba pesa akamwachia tu wema. Yo. Karibu kwa mtaa yenye inaaminikania wezi na kusucceed tuwezi. Mtaa yenye hewa sisi breathe yote ni insult. Na ukirudi nataka uambie hivi. Waambie apart from sisi kuwa wakora pia tuko na the best footballers wenye wamekaa tu base wakichomwa na sola. The best singers who can sing songs that can swing in your mind to remind you of the best things that we are capable of doing. Tuko na the best actors design waki-act Oscar Awards in a healthy ghetto. Tuko na the best DJs who can scratch your negative attitude and spin you back to your normal. Tuko na the best dancers wenye wanaweza dance news ama wa dance national anthem. The best rappers design waki-rap Kanye West na sound kama Kenya ni from Western. We are diamonds in the dust. Tumechafuka after some people kutuchafua, but we are working on it, and we are ready to shine to be sword. So we come utembe wewe wageto simkaribishe si tukasaidiane hapa. We come utembee kwetu ghetto, come utembee kwa imta ya mastaa. Come utembee kwetu ghetto, come utembee kwa imta ya mastaa. Thank you so much.
And that takes me to the conversation that he has talked about here. That what we have is very good on paper. We have the legal and the legislative frameworks that capture or provide for the freedoms and the rights of participation, and actually mention that Kenya is a democracy. But the practicality of it, he has said what is there. I want to pose the same question to Dennis as we now look at another angle to our conversation. Dennis, over to you.
Thank you very much. Whenever you mention a state or a status quo, how things are at the moment, meaning you're trying to internalize that so far so good. What is the response from the general public in terms of how human rights are being implemented and democracy at large? From my understanding, over time, democracy has been a state whereby there's freedom and there's upholding of fundamental rights and law. Every time, you will not miss a news whereby there's advert infringement of some very basic rights. So that beats the logic that the democracy as it is now, it's not maintaining its logic as far as the government is concerned. For today's conversation, I will just synchronize myself to democracy as far as the rights of persons with disability. And persons with disability in the constitution, they are mentioned as the marginalized. In the Employers Act, they are mentioned as the special groups. And even in the Tax Act, they are mentioned as the special groups. The Constitution, Article 54(2), states that at least 5% of the job opportunities and any other available opportunities should be given to persons with disability. It doesn't proceed to give what is the consequence if that rationale is not met. There is a lacuna, and I am very concerned. And there is a proposal that was placed in Parliament to amend the Disability Act because it was enacted in 2005, and the Constitution that we are using today came into place in 2010. In law, there's what we call consistency. So meaning the Disability Act is not fully consistent with the 2010 Constitution with the date of the time in which both were implemented. That proposal was placed in Parliament 2016. Little has been done. It went through first reading. In last year, November 24th, the CS for the Public Commission, Bore, tried to push for its implementation. Little hasn't been done. I am living in a society where anything that is concerning persons with disability is less given priority. That Disability Act was enacted because the president then, Mwai Kibaki, got an accident. You get the point? So because he got an accident, now he realized that law does not allow him to accrue any privileges. So meaning, I would suggest that we should cause accident to all government officials so that they are not able to access some buildings, they are not able to use staircases, they are not able to even use some tables, some classrooms, and even their children should have disability so that when they go to these schools, they can improve the structures. All that is about democracy, because democracy cannot exist when one group is complaining. We cannot have a group, a society whereby only one side is enjoying, yet everyone is paying tax. There is Tax Act whereby we are given a privilege of tax exemption That process is strenuous, sick, and we are tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
It is unreasonable, unnecessary. Why will you take me for a queue if you now have disability? Just to examine me for, is it am I requesting you to examine me for tax? The reason why we are being exempted for tax, because we have a lot of medical requirements that are eating a lot of our money. So the government should take a keen interest, or when we go to Bagadi, 100,000 that they are being given as bills should be exempted so that we continue paying tax, for example. But if that is not done, we are still paying tax, and that privilege that at least we should get, it's so strenuous, unreasonable, unnecessary, just because some government officials do not have experience. Two, the people who are championing for persons with disability, they are people who are normal, able-bodied, but they call them professors of what and what, so and so on. Just because they have experience, they went to London, they went to UK, they went to some universities abroad. Now they think they have a lot of knowledge. They don't have the experience of walking with one leg. They only have knowledge that at some point there's someone who acquired a wheelchair, acquired a walking stick, but they do not walk with those walking sticks. So therefore, if these conversations are being involved, our people should be involved. Because that is what it will bring the logic of participation that we are talking about. Thank you.
Let's give him a round of applause. And key points or key issues coming from what he has shared. He mentioned about issues of the provision of fundamental rights. Democracy and human rights go hand in hand. The provision or ensuring that fundamental rights are provided is an obligation that the government has. You know, the government should protect, uphold, protect, and ensure the provision of human rights. And he's bringing in a very critical issue about the lived reality. And, you know, he's saying that there were provisions that were there because the former head of state, head of state, Mwai Kibaki, was at some point on a wheelchair. And one of the things I want us to reflect as we have this conversation on is that human rights are inherent to you because you are a human being first. It should not come with conditions, or it should not come as a result of someone's experiences. And that is the message we are sharing. That is what I hear Kennedy saying. That is what I hear Dennis saying, that the provision of human rights or access to your rights is a duty that the government has to meet. It is an obligation that the state has to meet. So it is not something that should be discussed, or it should not be something that, you know, needs to be negotiated and in decision-making spaces. So with that, I'd like to invite Sharon to shed more light on issues of meaningful participation and also ensuring the realization of human rights. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like to continue the conversation from my two colleagues here. The issue of meaningful participation. Most of the time you're told if you're not on the table, then you are on the menu. No, when you're saucy. Yeah, so just the other day we had elections a year ago, right? And there were those provisions that persons with disability were to be nominated. There is that allocation in the law. The allocations, positions for nominated MCAs, MPs are going all the way. So I have an experience of someone that we work with who was nominated for the MCA position. And she had to go through a lot. including court cases all the way. And back then she was a student. So she was funding her trips all the way to Muranga. Yeah, so at the end of the day, she was shortchanged. And she was called beside and told, "Hawa watu wezani now. We kaka, you are younger, you need to grow yourself. Ukiendelea na hawa watakupoteza." Point blank. Na mtu anamwambia ni wa IEBC. Because she won the case. Her position was given to the person they were fighting with. It was given to her wife. So that's how bad the situation is. You see. So we talk of meaningful participation, but most of the time we are there to just put a rubber stamp to what has already been decided in most cases. So I think there's need to have the goodwill from the political class, from the government, for persons with disability to benefit in most of these things that we're talking about today.
Wow, thank you, Sharon. And let's give her a round of applause. Hearing from Sharon is the issue of being sidelined, persons with disabilities being sidelined in the realization of their socio, political, and economic rights. I'll hold it there. Today we are here converged to have a conversation about economic shocks and how we are navigating these economic shocks and having this conversation about persons with disabilities. I want to switch gear a bit as I go to Steve and just get to here, and I'll be coming back to Kennedy and to Dennis, because Dennis introduced a very key concern about issues of tax justice, about issues of employment. And so I want to invite Steve to just hear from him currently. What are these economic shocks that, according to you, being experienced, and how are they being experienced by persons with disabilities? Asante.
Thank you. The main issue right now that not only Kenya, but I think the globe at large, is the high cost of living. Food is up, petrol is up, everything is high. For persons with disabilities, when these things go up, like for example, the fuel prices, fuel is essential, it's basically touches on everything. So when it goes up, you can imagine somebody who is working, he was being paid, let's say, 30,000. His transport, because he's a person with disability, fine, he has to mix Uber with Matatu or the Uber alone. And you know how high transport is when you're using cab services. So you can imagine, let's say he transport and almost 10,000 shillings, remains with 20. 20 days and SHIF, and all house levy, even though you don't see the essence of having a house when you're broke. So there's that. You see, the first element is the transport. So and the tax exemption that they talked about, it is a very strenuous process. By the time you get that certificate, there are some people who just say, let's it just be tax everybody, because you find you queue for a very long time. It takes weeks, and those weeks as they go, see payday also comes around and it goes again. So you're being taxed. Secondly, access to employment, where you find the employers also have to downsize their capacities to make, at least to maintain their profit margins. So this also means that persons with disabilities will also be sidelined, because now they see we don't these people need reasonable transportation. These people need extra like assistive technology to work at parallel with everybody. So you find that they decide or they prefer, we'll just do CSR. That's enough. That's all we can do for now. Uh, I would also like to finish with maybe the social economic perspective, where now at home you're jobless. Let's say the company you are working with, they say now we can support your reasonable accommodation because of ABCD. You can't afford the transport to go to work, so you requested maybe you wanted to work from home, but maybe your job requires you to be there, so they just decided to let you go. You see, now it also affects your social life. uh, People have been left out here. I know someone who the wife left because this guy is a person with disability. You see, haizi enda mjengo. You can't say that. Yeah, my guy attended mjengo alisaidia. So I would like to just to stop there.
Thank you. When we talk about the economic shocks, I think even the government itself is in shock at the moment. Just yesterday, I was listening to what the CS Finance was addressing MPs on. Not even sure when you pay salary, not even sure when you will remit money to the counties. Yet he was there to provide solutions after the MPs got concerned about the state of things. He never provided the answers that would satisfy somebody. So it means even the cabinet secretary in charge of the economy is in shock. When you talk about surviving the shocks of the life of a person with disability, not easy. Let disbursement of capitation funds to schools. Think of the special schools as an effect of the students learning there. When this government came in, you remember for some few weeks, wakasema, all these exemptions, we have to relook at them afresh. The council had to come up very forcefully to ensure that they don't interfere with the PW component. Right now, I'm aware of around 3 people who are importing cars are struggling to get clearance for exemption. The cars are at the port at the moment. Things that never used to happen. The government is really trying to squeeze anything they can. And in the process, people suffer, including persons with disabilities. When you talk about employment, a person with disability will love to prove himself twice as much as the other person. And you people need to listen to this very carefully. You love to prove yourself twice as much as the other people because they don't believe that you can do it. So if you also approach them in a manner suggesting you can't do it, you are perpetuating the notion, isn't it? So you must prove yourself. Then you'll be able to win the trust. I loved the conversation around when a company maybe decides to downsize, to retrench, things like that. Always these companies, when they are faced with situations of that nature, they develop criteria. Nani aende? Wanaangalia nani wanaomba likizo kila saa. Unaona vitu kama hizo? Wanaangalia tena nani huwa anafiwa sana. You know, people fake things. Ameenda funeral nini. You know, these things they come to count, by the way. The employer is very keen. Unajua kusema wewe ni mgonjwa, hakuna vile atakataa wewe si mgonjwa, utaenda. Lakini zitakuwa nyingi sana mpaka aanze kujiuliza. Huyu mwenye huwa anakuwa mgonjwa sana, acha akaa kwa list. When you talk about the costs, the employer will think about you. tunamfacilitate na hii na hii na hii, pia we are ingia kwa list. You see, we are talking about the shops now, and the employer is forced to do this because he is trying to stay afloat. Hataki kutoka kwa soko, anataka endelee na biashara. Ameona ni kama biashara haiwezi kuendelea vizuri sababu gharama imeongezeka, so anatafuta criteria ya kujaribu ku stay afloat. Now he comes with the solutions. PWDs takuwapatia mkae kando. Yule wa kuomba likizo kila mara, wewe utakaa kando. Yule wa kushinda nyanya yake sijui imefanya nini, sijui nini, apewe nini, huyo pia kae kando. Eventually, a criteria has been developed. The PWD must be in that list because of the, especially wale wapenda kulalamika sana. Kuna wale wapenda kulalamika sana. Ashafanyiwa hii, hapana, unajua mimi ni mlemavu, fanya hii ingine pia. No, things like that. The employer will not tell your pet because sometimes they fear. Akikwambia anaona umemwambia sababu yeye ni mlemavu, see? So some of us also take this kind of advantages, which is not advisable. You make employers now treat all persons with disabilities the same way. Yet, it was just a transgression of one.
I love what my colleagues have said here, that information is power. And when you want to like fight for your rights, you need to have that information. It's one thing to have information, but what do you do with that information? What that kind of information? We talk of putting pressure on government, but are we doing that? When it comes to participating in the process of decision making, are we coming out? Are we coming out as persons with disability to make sure that our voices are represented there? The people that we put in power, are they representing our interests, like persons with disabilities within the political space? Are they really pushing for our interests? So those are some of the conversations also that we really need to, because it's how many years again are we celebrating? 75. It's such a shame, yeah, that to date we are still pushing for inclusive education. Yeah, it's a very basic right to have, and with so many beautiful policies around it, and we are almost hawking the sweet, beautiful policies to other countries, coming here for benchmarking and implementing. Yet we have them somewhere in our shelves, like just gathering dust. Yeah. To date, we start with the lowest level. Yeah, ECD. It's devolved. What is the county government doing around inclusive education? We work with schools, and I can tell you for free, we can't start talking of special schools at this juncture, yeah, because the government needs to ensure that schools are inclusive for all, because we are talking about inclusive education for all. So you can imagine if a parent with a child with disabilities, staying with that child there, waiting for an opportunity to enroll their children in special school. When will that happen? They will wait for a bit longer. So what if, because that also comes with, if you talk of inclusive education, and we talk of wherever that child is, they're able to access education, it becomes a bit easier for that child, that caregiver, because we won't be talking of the issue of transportation, which was alluded to by Steve. Yeah, by Steve, because that has been the biggest challenge for children with disability to access school. So you can imagine right now what is happening for that parent, that caregiver, who cannot be able to take their children to school because transport is short. Yeah. So we also talk about the caregiver. If you're not able to take that child to school, then you're meant to stay at home with that child. So we are talking about the hard economic times right now. Can you afford to sit at home doing nothing? You can't, because at the end of the day, you need to feed your children. the cost of doing small businesses. We all know because most of us are into business. Si tunajua imekuwa ngumu. Yeah, we work with caregivers, and some of the caregivers are doing businesses in town, selling sweets and stuff, and they come to a meeting and share how they have been frustrated. So can't the county government look into it in a way that that caregiver can benefit? Maybe set aside a place for such caregivers for them to do business easily without being harassed. Umeweka stock leo imeenda, the next thing unaziona, tumekuwa tukiziona kwa media, si ndio? Zimemwagwa kwa street. You're bundled with your child kwa hiyo track yao. So how are we supposed to survive as persons with disabilities, as caregivers? Yeah? When will that caregiver be able to take that child to school? And when you talk of free education for all, is it free for persons with disabilities, for children with disabilities? It has never been free. Never, ever.
I'd like you to hold that thought there in terms of whether the education is free. Because I want to bring another angle to this. And I invite Steve to share about the issues of assistive devices. Because
After this, my loves, we were live on Citizen TV for a panel discussion by the representatives of those 4 villages. By the way, thank you for those who saw me and didn't call during the live but told me later that you'd seen me on Citizen. Thank you. So I couldn't capture everything. It would have been way too long, because after that 1 hour live on Citizen TV, then we had final remarks from those 4 representatives of the 4 villages. Of course, there were questions from us, the members present, and more music, tea breaks, lunch break, and everything. Yeah, but this was the most important for me that I had to capture and share with you. Human rights. 75 years later, we are still crying human rights. I pray we get better. I pray we do better as a country and the world at large. See you on the next one. I love you so much. Bye.